Who has a better forehand? Man, Jason Adamski trying to start a war on here.
we we've got different strengths, but overall,
All right, we have our first question came in. It came up. Let's see what made Nate and Germ to become pro. So basically, how did you guys?
Who's Germ?
we can do some edits. This guy's typing quick. Hey man, let's not dive into the punctuation. I turned pro. I mean, the story of how I turned pro is just that I played amateur starting when I was like 14 years old, and just kept getting better, just rising through the ranks, and won the junior world championship, came fourth at the amateur world championship the following year, and then, it was there was only one place left to go after that. So I was happy to do it. I mean, that's kind of when the game really turned for me and became like the most fun thing I'd ever done, was when I went pro and kind of was able to drive myself around at age 19 or so, had a little truck and just playing and living free.
I didn't find the game until well after Nate had. Nate's a few months older than me, but we've been playing for, obviously most of our entire adult life. But I didn't pick up the sport until I turned 20 years old. And when I found the game, it was right in a very pivotal time in my life where I had just finished college, prematurely, I'll add. But I had some extra time on my hand, and I was kind of transitioning from being so just wrapped up in basketball and sport, and I didn't really have a place to play basketball anymore, and I didn't have any direction to go because I didn't have the motivation to play professionally. And so I was like, okay, something's got to happen. And I found disc golf just with some buddies from high school, and almost as soon as I'd found the game, I'd already decided that disc golf was going to be a part of me for the rest of my life. And I knew that as soon as I found out that there was a professional tour, that I was going to one day be on that tour. So for me, it was like a pretty abrupt change. I went from being in college, playing basketball 5 to 7 days a week, to like having all this free time. And disc golf, I was playing, 5 to 6 rounds a day for the first couple of years, when it was nice outside, obviously. And when it wasn't nice, I was still playing 1 or 2 rounds a day. Like, I was absolutely hooked. And it was less than a year and a half after I started playing disc golf that I'd already won the amateur world championships. And, from there, you go pro. And that was back in 2008. And so I've been technically a pro for 12 years now.
Awesome. All right. So I can't decide how you say the username, but what shows/movies are you guys watching right now in your quarantines?
Well, I'll go ahead and start off. I just finished Netflix yesterday, so.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow! Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
I've heard of people doing that, but
yeah.
I haven't met anybody that actually did it. Congrats.
Yep, I finished Netflix yesterday, and we're halfway through HBO. But I'll let you know when we're done with that. But everything, I mean, it's just been everything. I mean, I don't even know where to start.
So that means you've seen Tiger King.
We saw Tiger King before the memes. We were like,
oh my goodness.
We were like, what is? I knew who Joe Exotic was before the Netflix documentary came out, and I don't know where I saw it, but it was previewed somewhere. But I'd heard of the story beforehand, so when it came out, I was like, we were totally eager. And I don't know how we haven't seen it twice yet, but it was obviously it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's something that you just. I mean, I hate to just sit there and talk about something that everyone's talking about, but I'll just say there's a reason that everyone talks about it. You have to. I had no intention of watching it.
I haven't even seen an instant of it yet.
Oh, Carol Baskin, she's the worst, man. She's absolutely the worst.
The memes tell me so. The memes tell me it's so. We watched a show called Forever on Amazon Prime that was just one season with Fred Armisen from Portlandia, and that was pretty cool. And it had Maya Rudolph as well. So we watched that. It was okay. And then we've been watching the 3rd season of Ozark as well.
Ozark, I love that show. I mean, I don't know how, but I've only gotten through the first episode of season 3. But man, I'm just like, that show is insane. I mean, it's just funny to see a guy like Jason Bateman, who's started out like Arrested Development and all these comedies, and then it's like, hey, Jason, we have this script, and in just so you know, nothing good ever happens to you. Sorry to.
Yeah, Jason Bateman, which kind of blew me away. He was the guy that said all the stupid leading comments on the ESPN Ocho in the movie Dodgeball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says, let's see that again, Bob, or something like that.
Yeah,
and
that's a bold strategy.
And he was the doofus. Yeah, that's a bold strategy. Yes, that's a bold strategy, Cotton.
All right, one more question.
That was Jason Bateman.
Who has a better forehand? Man, Jason Adamski trying to start a war on here.
We've got different strengths, but overall, it's Germ.
Overall, you're just gonna give up like that?
I'm not giving up.
Well, here's the thing. We've talked about this many times. Nate and I have a very distinguished top 5 sidearm list, and Paul Ulibarri has failed, but tried over and over again to try to get into the top 5. It's not happening. But we have very strict guidelines for what makes an overall forehand, quality. And just like you can imagine how Paul Macbeth has the angles, touch, distance, control, and all that, the forehand, it breaks down into the same categories. And Nate's forehand, he's definitely better than me in many things. He's got a power forehand into the headwinds that goes just as far as when it's calm. And I don't know how he does it, because he doesn't seem to throw that hard, but it goes. And I'm so impressed by it. And I would say his consistency over time is probably far superior to anyone I've ever seen with a forehand. But I do things that I don't think Nate really can do, whereas I can kind of touch on some of the things that he's got the strengths in. So that's kind of the differential between the two of our forehands.
I love it.
I think Germ just asks his forehand to do more than I do ask mine to do, and he's successful doing that. So he's more versatile than I am.
That's a good way to put it. Well, I know I said one more, but now I mean one more. Thank you to Nicholas Vaughn for the super chat, $20 super chat, and he's got a question. How much do you enjoy playing with @Thomas and AJ Risley, who are in the chat right now?
Wow, that's like the two opposite ends of like who I like and who I don't like. Thomas, fantastic to play with. AJ's nice enough guy, but holy cow. No, I love playing with both of them. I don't get to play with AJ that much. Thomas and I have been playing basically every practice round together these days, so that's always fun. Like before Vegas, which I ended up winning, he convinced me that I had zero chance because he's throwing it so much farther than me on every hole. And I think that's good for me because I go out there and play with Thomas. And I'm like, well, everybody gets old, It's been a good career. And then next thing I know, I win. So that's great. But yeah, I love both those guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that Nate nailed it on the head. Thomas is he's a kid who's only 20. I said kid. He's a young man who's only 20 years old, but he's definitely wise beyond his years as far as his mental. Just the way that he can hang. He can hang with adults, and whereas I probably was annoying the crap out of my peers, as I still do now. But now Thomas is quite a joy to hang out with, and he's a lot of fun to play with as well. And AJ's great for me because he really keeps me I seem like the super serious professional when I'm around AJ. He can be so silly, and I like that because I can relate to that. So it's I kind of feel like I'm in the middle between Nate over here and AJ over here, and so it's nice to have a little bit of the silliness sometimes too. So yeah, they're both a bunch of fun.
So here we got a question from the feed. This is from Facebook actually. Another winner of the giveaway, Joey Passenger. Ooh. What is your most painful memory of losing a disc?
My first one. I had my first disc I ever really loved was a 167 Champion Orc. And I loved that disc, the ins and outs. I got my first ace with it. It was actually a flick roller ace that hit a fence and bounced backwards and went into the basket. And so it was very sentimentally important to me. And then of all places where I threw it in the water, this was an Orc, by the way. Hole 17 at Winthrop. On a 200-foot hole, I was like, I can control this. And I threw it 40 feet in the water. I mean, it was my first year playing, and I was devastated. So that was a pretty easy one for me, I think.
It's not easy for me. I've lost a lot of discs, but I'm not having one ding, ding, ding right there for me to to say is my most painful, but man, I've had some really nice destroyers that I wanted to, that I got in there trying to swim after and came up with nothing, and that's always pretty hard. But no, I'm sorry, I don't have like a real specific story of my most painful.
All right.
We got all those green X cows you can throw to perfection, like lined up, ready to go.
Yeah, I've never lost one of those.
All right, from the chat, we've got Trevor Simonson. Who are your favorite players to have on your card? 3 other players beside yourself. Germ.
You want first or me?
Germ.
You go ahead. Okay, I'll go. I will say the obvious answer I think most people are going to say is Simon, because he has a great sense of humor. He, can laugh at himself. He can still engage in conversation, and he also throws really impressive shots that obviously are fun to watch. I love playing with Nate. I know that I'm not on his list, but he's on my list. And I like give me Paul Ulibarri also. We've been top buddies since since we met and started touring together we met in 2008, and we really started like touring together in 2010, and we've been best friends since then. So yeah, that would be a pretty awesome dream card. And we actually almost had that exact dream card with at the Memorial this year. He just swapped Brad Williams out, who I also love playing with, for Simon, and that would have literally been like the best card that I can imagine.
Yeah, I think if I want to joke around, Germ and Yuli are awesome guys to have on the card because we can always have so much fun. But my go-to answer for this question has been Simon for entertainment value and just a nice guy, and Macbeth for also just being unreal and throwing amazing shots all the time, and also being a good friend of mine that I can joke around with. And Nate Doss, same reason, just amazing competitor. We don't see him as much anymore, so pretty soon I might have to slide Germ into his spot if he doesn't play a tournament coming up here.
We got time for one more question from Chad Welter. Who has a bigger disc collection, Nate or Germ? Just not even close?
I don't know. I think I probably have 1,000 discs.
Okay.
Oh, Nate's been sponsored by Innova since you've been sponsored, correct?
Yep.
I've been sponsored by 3 companies, starting with Discrafts in 2008 to 2012, and then Prodigy from 2013 to 2016, and then 2017 and forever with Innova. So I've actually hoarded almost all of my discs. I just got rid of my Prodigy collection to another touring disc golfer last year at the USDGC, but I actually had way less Prodigy than I had Discraft and Innova. So I have all of my original Discraft stuff minus some things that I've given away to friends that they were specifically looking for something. Nice. But I'm probably pushing 2,000, including like I've got like old Frisbee lids and I got like a whole box of minis. I love like collecting cool minis. I've kind of chilled out on that a little bit because it's like they just sit around. Yeah. But it's like I don't do anything with it, and I don't even like look at them because it's all in the garage. So it's like, what's the point of having it? But I would say I've got way more Frisbees total, and I probably even have more Innova discs than Nate does too, because he usually gets rid of them. I'm much more of a hoarder.
So I know Nate's just kind of like letting you have this, but I will say I have personally been to Nate's dad's house and dug through what would be completely out of sight, out of mind, until you go, "Hey Nate, what's up there above this old garage here?" And then you climb this old ladder and you look, and it's just like discovering this old just time capsule of disc golf. And he's just like, "Oh yeah, I got some discs up there. It's whatever. It's just stuff. I don't even really know what's up there." And so me and Jerry are like, "Oh, can we go look?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And we're just pulling out all these bins of just discs, and you're just like, you don't even know that you have this stuff. Like pre-flight champion orcs, like pearly orcs, and that I'm just like,
wow,
like stuff off the top of my head that I would just be like, I would pay good money for. And he's just like, "Oh yeah, I've got this stuff." And then he's like, "Oh, I won that at this tournament, and so gave me this." So like Nate knows like all the stories behind all the discs, even though he didn't even like 5 minutes ago forgot that they were even there until you're just like, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't know they were up there, but then once you see one, it kind of can bring back some memories of like when you got it or what you threw with it or whatever.
So I've never been to Nate's dad's house. I have been to his house. I've seen how many discs he keeps at his place, and based on that information, I thought that was a clear answer for me. But you did not tell me that you had a secret stash at your father's. Now,
I don't
now
anymore. They're all here.
Okay, well then I've got that.
Well, I guess then that's old news. But all I can say is, I know basically everyone that's watching this probably loves going over to their buddy's house and just kind of looking through what discs you got, what do you got, and even just revisiting your old collection is just so much fun. Like I know when I go back in my garage and my brother comes over and he's like, I need an Excalibur or something. I'm okay, and I'm looking through the throwers, and then we're just like, well, what's in this box? And you just forget, and it's cool to be able to stash it away for so long that you forget. And then you just kind of get to like relive, like Nate said, you remember where you got it, and and maybe that you won it playing this tournament or something. So that is so much fun. Collecting discs is like something like we know we don't need more, but you always end up finding a reason to collect more. But it's also cool to like give them away like to other people that are just starting. Like a couple weeks ago, one of my buddies hit me up, hey, I'm playing disc golf because I'm not going to work, whatever. And so I'm like, hey, come over, I got discs. And the same thing, then you're like, you just give away 5 discs that get new life and get somebody else addicted to it, because that's not going to be the last 5 discs they have. They're going to like want to go get more and more. So something about collecting discs and keeping them, and it's just something that unless you're a disc golfer, you probably really don't understand, but it's a lot of fun.